everyone. I'm making this video today because I wanted to take a look at some of life's most meaningful questions. Questions like, what is a Vlookup? Why should I love it? And also, why should I hate it and never speak of it again? What do I mean by that? So, you should love the Vlookup function because you can look things up in Excel when they're in a table. You should hate it because it's one of the slower ways to do that, and a lot of times people don't realize that there are other functions that do other things like counting items or adding them that is often more appropriate or quicker to use than a Vlookup. So I put together a workbook to demonstrate this, where I went to the Wikipedia page for a list of population by states in the United States, and then I made a selector where you can put in the state. I put data validation to a list so that you could pick from a list of the states, and then I wrote a Vlookup that takes that state up in that table and then returns the population for that state. The components of the Vlookup are the lookup value, the table array that you're looking it up in, and then the column index number, which is just asking what column are the results in. Is it the first column or second column? The final question it asks is this a range lookup, which just means if I can't find the exact item, can I switch to the closest one? It's usually not a good option because you usually want to just have your exact result. Another alternative you can use instead of this formula is a combination of two formulas, which is the index formula and the match formula. The match formula is what performs the actual lookup. So it has some of the same options, the lookup value, the table array, and what type of match, whether that's a approximate or exact match. The index function is what allows it to actually walk the table, find the right result, and return it. You can see they return the same result, but index and match is a little easier to read and troubleshoot, and I think it works better across larger tables. Okay, so both of those are great options, but sometimes what you actually want to do is add up anything that you find in the table that matches the condition that you're looking it up for. So what you can do is use the formula Sumif set, where it allows you to specify a sum range, a criteria range, and then a criteria. So you can say, add up everything in this table where the name matches the name I'm trying to look up, for example. I've written a couple of examples here where I've taken the states, I've pulled out the first letter, and then I've said, show me all the sum of the population for all the states which start with the letter N or which start with the letter C. And so you can see at different states, it just adds that total. A similar option to the Vlookup is the Hlookup, which just allows you to look up a result in a table that's built horizontally instead of vertically. Index+Match works across both, so I wrote an example which covers each type. Another really useful thing that helps the Vlookup be more powerful is when you get comfortable with extracting a list of uniques so that you can look at a big data set and decide what you're trying to summarize and pull out the list of unique items and then build a Vlookup or a Sumif set for each one of them. To do this, what you do is basically a 4-step process. You copy the full list of all the names, you move them into another place and paste them, you sort them, and then you remove duplicates, and that will give you the list of unique items. And then once you build Sumif sets to that list, it allows you to easily summarize the entire table. In Office 365, there's soon going to be a new option called Xlookup, which, in my opinion, the main thing that it improves on is that it allows you to look things up where your lookup value isn't in the far left side of the table. That's one of the things that Vlookup just assumes, is that all your tables have all your lookup values off to the left, and then the things you're trying to look up are over to the right. Xlookup solves that by letting you go either way. I put together a screenshot from the Office website which talks about it, but it is not yet live, so I can't really do anything beyond that. Finally, one other thing I wanted to demonstrate, sometimes you can avoid a Vlookup if you're trying to look up to a really simple table, and so you can actually store the entire table within the formula if you use the formula called switch. And what switch does is it just says we're going to look something up and we're going to switch it to whatever the result will be. And so a good example of this that I wrote was basically how a stoplight works. And so you can see it knows that if it's, we're going to say we're going to look at whatever's in C2, and we're going to say if it's red, we're going to say stop. If it's yellow, we're going to say slow down. And if we don't match either of those conditions, we'll say go. It functions off whatever's in the input section. And then you can see another good example would be like a coin value converter, so that it knows that 1 is pennies, 5s are nickels, 10's a dime, 25 quarter, 50 cent piece. And then if it's not that, it's probably some kind of Susan B. Anthony dollar. And yeah, so that's it. These are all the different ways you can look things up in Excel. I hope you found it helpful, and yeah, have a good day.